Hello guys, so in this video I'm gonna actually show you a brief overview of the SQL Management Studio. So as you can see here on this window, the installation has succeeded successfully. I did the first video, okay, for the installation, how to install the Microsoft SQL Server. And I'm going to close it. As you can see, everything is succeeded, and I'm going to close this window as well. Going to go to Start menu here, okay, and as you can see, we have SQL Server Management Studio 2014. You could also search in here and type SQL Server. It will appear. So I'm going to click on the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So as you can see, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio is loading. User settings. This may take some time. So basically, as you can see, this is the how to connect to a server. So basically, we have two things that we need to distinguish. We have the database server, where the database is stored, and we have RDBMS or relational database management system, which is the Management Studio, as you can see right here. So this is an app that allows the user interaction with database, getting queries, inserting, selecting, retrieving data, creating reports, and so on, creating databases, tables, and everything. So as you can see, we could use Windows authentication, or we could use SQL Server authentication. So login as an administrator and password. So if you select, because we did in the lab, Windows authentication, so as you can see, the server name is DC1, that is running database engine, and I'm gonna say connect right there, because it's using Windows authentication from the stored in the system. And here we go. So in order to authenticate using SQL Server authentication, not Windows authentication, you need to actually log in as administrator and your password. Notice here, this is basically the server that is running the database, DC1, as you can see here, and we have a couple of objects under the Object Explorer right there. So here we have databases. Let's expand databases, system databases. Those are all the databases created, by default for me, as you can see. So you can actually expand those databases, system databases, like the master database. I'm going to expand the master database. As you can see, in this master database called master, we have tables. We can actually expand the tables as well, and then system tables. So those are actually the tables that we have in our database. We could expand the tables further. So we have the keys, primary key, foreign keys. We have constraint, primary and foreign keys. We have triggers. Those are triggers that you can create. We have some statistics and so on. So basically, I'm gonna right click in here. You could actually we could go to design view. The actual report, custom report. You could delete, refresh, and check the properties of those attributes, right? So let's go to so those are the tables, as I mentioned here, system tables. And as you can see, I just wanna so you could create new table in here if you want to. So new table, and then I can create a new table if I want manually like this, but we're gonna do everything via SQL query editor. So I'm going to close the database, the master database. We have also some module tables, views. Views are virtual tables that we can create. and so on. So let's expand the tables here. Okay, we don't have any tables in this module database. Those are default databases. Okay, temp db tables. Let's check if we have some tables in here. Temporary tables, as you can see, nothing. Views, nothing. Okay, system views, those are views created. Okay, and the view is a virtual table in a database, or virtual, okay, virtual table or virtual report, if you will. You could use select and save it as a view for reporting and so on. Okay, let's actually go to the database snapshots. We could take snapshots for databases. Okay, now let's actually regarding the databases, let's use this master here, this master database. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually new query. So this is actually will open new query editor, as you can see here. So new query editor, we can actually select the database use, okay, use master, okay, database, and let's actually execute this either by, okay, hitting execute or pressing F5 on the keyboard. So I'm going to execute this one, and as you can see, the commands are successfully, okay, completed successfully. So we are using database master, and as you can see in the top right here, the master is selected right there. Okay, so let's actually create something. Let's I'm going to create table, and let's name it okay, test. Now open parentheses in here and end up with semicolon right there. Okay, so let's create a couple of things. Let's say fname, okay, equals fname. Let's use as char in here, and then the size of the char, let's use 10 for that, and then let's use lname, let's use char 10 as well, and then let's use something like SSN, okay, social security number, int, and then let's say primary key right there. Okay, I think we could add something else, fname, lname, and let's use city. Okay, city, and let's use char 20. Okay, that's it. So either hitting execute or F5. I'm gonna hit F5 on the keyboard. Okay, as you can see, the query is executed successfully. So after a refresh, we need to refresh. So whenever we did something, we need to refresh the database. Refresh tab here. And then if we expand the master and then the tables, as you can see, dbo.test. Okay, dbo.test is created right there. Okay, you can actually check columns on this database. What are the columns that we have? As you can see, the columns that I created right there. Can also right click and create a new column manually. Stars PowerShell. We could actually report, use a custom report, or refresh. Okay, that's it. So now let's actually insert a couple of values into the test table in the master database. So insert into, okay, test, then values right there. Gonna open parentheses for those values and end up with semicolon right there. Okay, so we could actually, let's insert for the SSN, let's insert 1 to 3 without any quotes. This is an integer. And then for the F name we could use, let's say, yon. This needs to be between single or double quotes. As you can see, it's a string. So let's use yon. And then for the last name, let's use some something. Okay. Yon Gunnar, and then the city is Reykjavik. Okay, between double quotes, Reykjavik. Reykjavik. There we go. And okay, so how many attributes we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then F5 to execute the command. And as you can see, we have a couple of errors, query completed with errors, as you can see. So at line 10, there is a problem at line 10. Why is that? Because I'm trying to execute everything, and we already, in the master database, we already created a table, so the table does exist. I'm going to select only, okay, the statement, and then I'm going to go and execute. Okay, let's see what error we get. Invalid column name Reykjavik. Okay, invalid column name Reykjavik. So we have a city char 20 and invalid column name Reykjavik. So we have F name, L name, and the city with 20 characters. And why is that? What's the problem here? Oh, let's execute this guy again. Okay, Reykjavik, invalid column name Reykjavik. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have 4 attributes. Reykjavik, city. And am I missing something here? Values. There is no value out of range, so city. Okay, it's complaining about something that I didn't know what's wrong right there. Okay, so let's use everything here, select and then execute. Invalid column name yon, level 16. So insert into test database. Let's use dbo.test. dbo abbreviation for database. dbo.test, and then the values, and let's actually execute again, or select only those and execute them again. So column name, line, yon, Gunnar, and okay, so it's probably not accepting the double quotes, so I'm going to go with a single quotes. As you can see here, that's the problem, and here we go. So those are strings and is not accepting the double quotes, I believe. So now let's hit the let's execute the statement, and as you can see, the rows affected. Now let's actually select everything from okay test semicolon and F5 here. Okay, incorrect syntax near from. It's form, it's from, not form, right there. Okay, and F5 here. So there is already an object named test in the database. Okay, select everything from dbo.test. Okay, table, and then I'm going to execute, or select just only this one, and then as you can see, we return okay the table that we're looking for. So selecting from, basically SQL is a standard language with minor differences, okay, between MySQL and SQL Server, DB2, and Oracle and IBM database engines. So there is minor differences, and also access which is not real database, but it's, we could consider it as a database. I'm talking about Microsoft Access. So we could also go to the column in here. Okay, let's check, for example, properties of the attributes or columns, as you can see. So the general extended properties. Okay, this is database master collection. So let's go to general, and in here actually you could manipulate those settings. So as you can see, the data type is an integer, system type is an int, primary key true or false. Okay, allow nulls, false, is computed, false, and so on. So the SSN is primary key, that's true. And then it didn't allow null values. The primary key doesn't allow null values, so when you set it to primary key, it would never allow null values. And other the lint, as you can see, that we are using for the SSN lint, numeric precision, numeric scale, and other information regarding those attributes right there. Okay, so we could check the f name. Also, let's go to properties of this object. So as you can see, it's not a primary key, it's false. And okay, it's also obvious that the primary key is okay. There is a key next to it that actually tell us that this is not null value and it's the primary key on this table. Okay, so I think that's it for creating tables in creating databases. So to create a database, new database, for example, I'm gonna actually go to the top or go here, and then I'm gonna create database by using the keyword create database. Create database called the database name, so database, and then the database name, let's call it test database, test DB. There we go. Press F5. We need to select only the statement right there, execute. So as you can see, the database is created successfully. After a refresh, we could check under databases, we would see the test DB right there created. Okay, so if we expand it, so database diagrams, here we could see also the diagrams, new diagram, install diagram support, report, and so on. Tables, so system tables, everything is still empty, so you could use this test DB. As you can see, use test DB, and then here we go, semicolon here, and then I'm gonna select it and execute. Okay, so we're using test DB, as you can see on the top here. Okay, so make sure when you are executing commands, you need to use the database, the corresponding database, not something else. Unless if you don't do that, you will get actually errors. I think that's enough information regarding the regarding the databases. So as you can see, we have query editor, and then we have the results right there. Okay, I'm gonna execute this one here, select statement, then execute. I'm not using this, so I'm gonna use the master database, execute. Now I'm gonna select this one and I'm gonna execute it. So we have results and we have messages. So messages are success or failure messages. Results show me the actual tables. So if I use two queries actually next to each other, I can see the first query, the table of the first query, and the table of the second query, and so on. Okay, we could use more SQL queries, tabs, as you can see, by actually new query tab. We could also use some other features like comment out the selected lines. We could actually comment them, okay, or comment the selected lines, as you can see right here. You could also decrease the ident right there, or increase the ident. You see, decrease and increase. And let me yeah, so basically we covered the databases. So under databases there are actually databases, and inside the database there is actually tables and so on. Just want to go to the master DB and go to tables, and I'm going to go to this test database here, and as you can see we could select top 1000 rows. It's exactly as this will create a query for me. As you can see, select top 1000 SSN, FName, LName, city from a master, okay, database.dbo.test. Basically it's your using the select statement as we did right here, okay, right there. We could also go to the design view. We could actually edit top 200 rows if we want to edit something, okay. As you can see, we could edit manually this stuff, but normally we are going to actually use SQL query editor instead of manipulating things manually. So okay, we could rename, we could report, we could delete, we could do many things, okay. So I think that's everything about the databases. So let's go to the other objects. Next object that I'm going to talk about is the security object. So security objects, as you can see, we have login, okay, and Abdel administrator. Those are the users. So in a login here, we could actually right click and the new login, create a user like this, and then login name, okay. You could search, as you can see, in Active Directory for that specific user. If we're using Windows authentication, if we are using SQL authentication, we need to tell we need to actually type the username and the password for that user to give him access. And then as you can see, default databases that are assigned to this user is a master database. You can assign him more databases. The language is default, okay, which is English. And server rules, we could actually give this user actually privileges, okay. We could actually map the databases to the user, so you could select all those databases so the user can access all of those databases here. And the status, grant, and you could grant or deny, okay, certain users from accessing certain databases and so on. So I'm gonna say okay. I didn't create anything. I'm gonna cancel, and that's it. So okay, there is a couple of default usernames, as you can see, like the SA Security Association. I think we could check the properties of this object as well. So the login name is SA, password, okay, the default password for this SA, enforce password expiration if one actually make the password expire after a certain time, okay. We could assign, as I mentioned earlier, databases to this user. We could actually manipulate the server rules, okay, privileges. We could map database that we need this user to access. So as you can see, SA has access to all databases except this test DB that I newly created, and so on. So I'm gonna cancel. The server rules, I think, is the same. So bulk admin, okay, DB creator, so database creator, disk admin, process admin. Those are all actually attributes or object attributes actually or privileges for those users here. They actually create new rule. Let's check this bulk admin. Go to properties of the bulk admin, and as you can see, rule members, we could add members to the bulk admin. Bulk admin means can do everything, pretty much everything, okay. So we could add a member to the bulk admin, and let's check search in Active Directory for a username called admin rows. Okay, and as you can see, we have the Abdel administrator. We could select this and edit. Okay, and here we go, and okay. As you can see, the user added successfully. We could also do that, okay, through the command line, okay, through SQL queries. Credentials for those users are stored in here. Cryptographic providers, so cryptography audits, so you could actually use some audit failure, new audit, and you could select the audits. Okay, okay, and then we could actually filter and so on. So I'm not going to dig deeper into those settings. So server audit specification, so here we go. Server objects, backup services, this is actually to backup, endpoints, system endpoints, database mirroring, service broker, and transactional SQL, actually it's in here. Then I'm gonna close the those objects in here. So security, we mentioned it. Server objects, actually replication. Okay, if you have redundant databases, you could actually replicate, use replication. So the data, database are replicated, and whenever you did an update, the update goes to all the database for redundancy. And here we have management object. As you can see, policy management. We could actually issue policies, create policies in here. Okay, system policies, but this is advanced topics in my Microsoft SQL. Server logs, those are all the logs where they are stored and what happens. Okay, you could check the logs are so helpful for troubleshooting. Then here we have server agent, XPS is disabled, and so on. I think that's pretty much it. So that's the Microsoft Management Studio. We actually walked over all those objects in Object Explorer, and we learned how to create database, how to create table, how to add, delete columns, and so on. And that's it. So the Management Studio allows us to interact with the database. The database is the actual database server where the database is stored, and the Management Studio is RDBMS, or management relational database management system, like PHP admin, like Workbench, and so on. Okay. I hope this have been informative for you, and I would like to thank you for viewing.